This is VOA News. I'm David Byrd. Police in Virginia Beach, Virginia continue to search for a motive for Friday's mass shooting in which a disgruntled city worker shot and killed 12 people and wounded 4 others. Police Chief James Cervera identified the assailant as Dwayne Craddock, an employee of the city's utilities department for more than 15 years. Officials also identified 12 of the victims. Virginia Governor Ralph Northam asked for continued compassion for the victims' families.
So I would ask all of you that are viewing this today to continue to please lift up Virginia Beach, continue to lift up these victims and their families as we continue this healing process, which will go on not for days but months and years.
Craddock's life ended when he engaged with police in a gun battle and was killed. Young entrepreneur Nayib Bukele was sworn in as El Salvador's new president on Saturday, calling his country a sick child and calling on his countrymen to do what is necessary to make it well. In his speech, the 37-year-old Bukele promised a new way of governing and called for all sectors to help. He invited all Salvadorans to work and struggle together for a better El Salvador. Bukele inherits a country plagued by gang violence, high unemployment, and corruption. He must also deal with U.S. President Donald Trump's threats to cut aid to El Salvador, Guatemala, and Honduras if they do not do more to curb immigration to the United States. Trump congratulated Bukele on Twitter Saturday, saying the United States was ready to work with him to advance prosperity in El Salvador and the hemisphere. For more on these stories, be sure to visit our website, voanews.com. You can also follow us on the VOA mobile app. This is VOA News. The World Food Program says it has delivered food in the rebel-held militarized zone of Nim for the first time since civil war broke out in Yemen more than 4 years ago. Lisa Schlein reports from Geneva.
The World Food Program says it has delivered food in the rebel-held militarized zone of Nim for the first time since civil war broke out in Yemen more than 4 years ago. WFP spokesman Hervé Verheussel says WFP and a partner organization, Islamic Relief, have distributed food to an estimated 5,000 people living near the front lines in the Nim district. In another bit of good news, Verheussel says WFP has been able to provide humanitarian aid to vulnerable civilians around Durrani city in Hodeidah Governorate for the first time in a year. Lisa Schlein for VOA News, Geneva.
Forces loyal to Libya's UN-backed government launched a violent attack on Saturday against the Libyan National Army troops loyal to Marshal Khalifa Haftar south of the capital Tripoli. Sources confirmed that government forces had made progress in areas previously controlled by the LNA. Colonel Mohammed Ganuno, a government forces representative, said the GNA troops managed to take control of new locations from Haftar's soldiers, specifically in the area of Ain Zara. He said GNA soldiers also destroyed several armed vehicles belonging to the LNA. Opposition icon Etienne Tshisekedi, whose son is now Democratic Republic of Congo's president, was laid to rest Saturday in his homeland, more than 2 years after he died during a political stalemate over the country's long-delayed elections. A funeral procession joined by thousands made its way to the 80,000-seat Martyrs Stadium on the outskirts of Kinshasa following several days of tributes. The elder Tshisekedi was the face of Congo's opposition for decades, but he died before his political nemesis Joseph Kabila agreed to step aside and allow a new presidential vote to go forward. Hungarian prosecutors on Saturday said a judge had ordered the formal arrest of the captain of a cruise ship that collided with a tour boat on the river Danube and killed 7 South Koreans. The judge ordered the 64-year-old Ukrainian captain of the Viking Sigyn to be formally arrested for 30 days. The captain can be released on bail but must wear a tracking device and remain in Budapest. The Viking ship collided on Wednesday evening with a smaller sightseeing boat carrying 35 people, most of them South Korean tourists in the capital Budapest. That smaller ship broke up and sank. 7 people were rescued. 21 remain missing. I'm David Byrd, VOA News.